It's another business week. Welcome to Business Incorporated, coming to you live from Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwabo. On the show today, AFDB, OECD and the UNDP say Africa will see a lift-off in economic growth this year and next on the back of a rebound in global commodity prices. IMF offers three-pillared prescription for Africa's growth. Plus, Egypt equities market hit hard by a surprise interest rate hike. Let's get started, and we're beginning off here in Africa with the markets. Egypt's stock market fell sharply today after an unexpected move by the central bank to raise key interest rates. All but 3 of the 30 most traded stocks in Egypt declined, knocking the stock index 2.7% lower. Now, at a meeting of its Monetary Policy Committee, the central bank hiked its overnight deposit rate to 16.75% from 14.75% and its overnight lending rate to 17.75% from 15.75%. This was the bank's first increase in rates since an aggressive hike of 300 basis points in November. While the rationale behind the interest rate hike was to help combat Cairo's hyperinflation and comes at the recommendation of the International Monetary Fund, equity markets were not prepared for such a move, and companies will start to brace for an era of higher cost of borrowing. Meanwhile, here in Nigeria, the Monetary Policy Committee began its interest rate decision meetings today, and all markets are on the watch for the outcome tomorrow. In the meantime, the equities market is trading positive, up 0.33% at intraday. The market in South Africa was marginally up at 0.03%. Kenya closed up 0.44% on Friday. In the Middle East, Qatar's index was up 0.9% with main support from blue-chip shares that are constituents of the MSCI Emerging Markets Index. Islamic lender Masraf Al Rayan was up 1.6%. The Saudi Arabian index was down 0.04% on some profit taken from the previous session's 0.8% gains. Declining shares outnumbered advancing ones 89-44, with material makers and other industrial companies being the main drag on the index. The polypropylene producer, National Industrialization Company, was down 1%. In the United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi's index was flat, while Dubai's index was up 0.11% on the back of strong gains in commodities. Sherpa Gulf Navigation, its shares jumped 4.9%. In Europe, investors are digesting a multi-billion-dollar merger in the chemicals industry and, of course, President Donald Trump's first overseas visit. Let's talk to Conrad Boulson, my colleague at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange, for details on these developments. Good afternoon, Conrad. Thank you very much for joining us. It's another beautiful week, and I'm glad you are on with us. Now, it's Donald Trump overseas first visit. First, it's to Saudi Arabia, and now he's in Israel. Is the market following him step by step on these visits?
Yes, Jimmy, a clear yes, because those visits mean for Donald Trump that he has many opportunities to confirm or to contradict things that he talked about in the past during his election campaigns or during the first months of his presidency. Take, for example, the question of where the U.S. embassy should be located in Israel. During his campaign, Trump often declared that he wants to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, which would be obviously something that the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu would really be liking a lot. Now, but Mr. Trump is not talking about this anymore, neither does anybody in his administration. And you know, those about turns, this change of plan is something that we've seen at many opportunities during the first months of Mr. Trump's presidency. So that at least is one reason to closely monitor what Trump is doing during his first, trip abroad. Will he show more of a consistent policy? Will he express ideas that, people on the markets, but also, of course, his voters and people worldwide might start to rely on? That's what's at stake here.
Right, Conrad, let's look at some deals that were sealed today. Huntsman Corporation and Switzerland's Clariant have reached an agreement to merge in a deal that would create a world chemicals giant worth about $14 billion. Talk us through this deal and what it will mean for shareholders and investors of these two companies.
Well, to me, this is what picture books really call a win-win situation. For investors and shareholders, this is a good idea. And if you look at the share prices of both companies here in Frankfurt today, this becomes obvious. Both shares are in demand. Both share prices are up significantly. Huntsman up 9%. The shares in Clariant up 7.5%. And this, of course, has to do with the synergies, with the cost cuts that those two companies hope to gain with this merger. They're calculated to be around about $400 million a year. But this is not only a big story for those two companies, this is important for the whole sector, as this merger is only one in a long row of mergers and acquisition stories we've been talking about recently. Think about Dow Chemical and DuPont. Think about the rumor that in China, Sinochem and ChemChina might merge. There's a lot of mergers and acquisitions activity going on in this sector. And of course, all this makes all the remaining players, like, for example, Germany's BASF, worth more and more important. And that's why, it's big, not only for those companies, but also for, the stock exchanges here in Frankfurt and everywhere else in the world.
Now, aside from all of these deals that we're seeing today being sealed, look into the market week for us. What is the outlook?
Well, as the earnings season is fading out somewhat, the focus this week will get more to economic data coming in. For example, from Germany, the Ifo Business Climate Index will come out tomorrow. Or from the United States on Friday, for example, lots of data will come out. For example, the factory orders. And, well, oil will be a big matter of discussion for the whole week, as on Thursday we'll have the OPEC meeting where, of course, the extension of those production cuts will be discussed again. Ahead of this meeting, the oil price is up. The American brand WTI is traded at $51 a barrel again. North Sea oil, Brent North Sea oil, is worth more than $54 a barrel again. I guess that's great news for you guys in Nigeria. Not so super good news for people, here in Germany at the petrol stations who have to pay more for their petrol again.
Well, so pity about that. Well, anyway, Conrad, while the markets, of course, are keeping an eye on those economic data, we out here, we're also keeping a tab on them. Thank you very much for your time, Conrad.